Good morning, children. Hope you are all well and good. Now, this section we are going to revise for the half-yearly exam. Hope you would have received the questions. So, in chemistry, you have 1.5 lessons. First lesson, that is changes around us fully, already you have written in the unit test 2, isn't it? And the next one, second lesson is some basic concepts of chemistry 2. Chemistry 1 in that page number 29 to 36. Okay, up to 36 only. So this is the portion 1.5 lesson, and you should know the pattern, isn't it? In chemistry, you are going to write for 15 marks, children. Short answers, 5 questions you have to write, 5 question answers. Actually, 6 question answers you will be getting, 1 question choice. Okay, so you select any 5 and write. So 10 marks for short answers and 1 detailed answer is compulsory. Either of type questions you will be getting, right? So 5 marks for detailed and 10 marks for short answers. So totally out of 15 marks. So in physics 15 marks, the same pattern for physics also. Chemistry 15, for biology 2 detailed answers you will be getting. So totally 20 marks. So overall total is 15 marks. Okay. So you should write neatly, children. Presentation is very important. Read the question paper twice. Put the correct question number. Okay. Suppose if you forget to write that particular question, means at the last you put the question number correctly. Answer briefly, or whether it may come in detailed answer or higher order thinking type questions. Okay. So you should put the question number is very important. Okay. After writing one answer, you should put one line, then write the next answer. Okay. Use good ink pen. Don't use ballpoint pen. Okay. And you can highlight the important points by using pencil or otherwise black pen. Apart from black pen or blue pen, you should not use any other colors. Okay. So while writing the exam, you keep these points in mind, right? Okay. Now we can move to the some basic concepts of chemistry 1. In that first one, what are the important things you have to cover? So first, matter. Okay, what do you mean by matter? Matter is nothing but anything which occupies the space and also it has weight. That is called matter, isn't it? So this is also one of the important definition. Matter means what? Anything which occupies space and has weight is called matter. Next one, energy means what? Energy is defined as an ability or capacity to do work. Okay, energy is nothing but an ability or capacity. Both anyone you can write or otherwise both you can write. Ability or capacity to do work is called energy. Okay, so these two will come under the definitions. Next one is classification of matter. In that, matter generally can be classified into 3 types. One is a solid state, liquid state and gaseous state. When you go to higher classes, you will learn about 2 more states also. That is plasma state, Bose-Einstein condensate. This you will learn in the 7th standard. Okay. So, solid state. First you have to write the properties of solid state. Mention the properties of solid state. If the question is asked like this, minimum 4 points you have to write about solids. What are the things you know about solids? Solids have fixed shape, isn't it? Solids have fixed shape. Solids cannot be compressed much. This is a solid. This scale is a solid one. I cannot compress this solid, isn't it? Also, the solid this scale has fixed shape. Okay, solids cannot be compressed much. Solids cannot flow. Okay, solids cannot diffuse into each other. So these are some of the points about solids. Next one, liquid state. And the solids have high density. That's also one of the important points. Next, the liquid state. Liquids can be slightly compressed. Liquids have fixed volume, but they have no definite shape. Okay. Slightly we can compress the liquid, and also what about we can write for liquid? Liquids can flow from higher level to lower level. When compared to solid, liquids have low density, that is lesser density. So these are the points you have to write about the liquid. Minimum 4 points you should write. Okay, you can write of your own also, not at all a problem. But the particular concept should be there, right? Next one, gaseous state. Gases can be compressed much. Okay, gases have very low density, and also gases can flow and diffuse into each other. Okay, gases they do not have definite volume. Gases do not have definite shape. Hence, they fill the entire space. Okay, so gases can diffuse into each other. These are the things about the gaseous state. So solid state, liquid state and gaseous state. You should understand the concept behind the solid, liquids and gases, right? Next one, pure substance. Pure substance is nothing but a particular element which have the same composition as well as properties. Okay, so pure substance is also will come under definition. That's also one of the important questions, like matter, energy. Okay, so next one, learn about the physical properties and chemical properties. Next come to elements. Element means what? An element is nothing but composed of two or more different element. Okay, it is made up of only one type of atom. So in book page number 32C, element consists of only one type of atoms. Okay, and also elements cannot be decomposed into simpler substances by chemical methods. That's also very important. Okay, elements cannot be decomposed into simpler substances by using chemical methods. Okay, and it is made up of only one type of atoms. Next come to the symbol. Symbol means what? A symbol stands for some meaning. Okay, the name of an element can be represented in a shortened form called symbol. Okay, what do you mean by symbol? Nearly in chemistry 118 elements are known today. Okay, 118 elements are present in the periodic table. For all this 118 elements, each and every element have a symbol. Okay, so what do you mean by symbol? Symbol stands for some meaning. Okay, so an element can be represented in a shortened form called symbol. For example, if you take the hydrogen element, what is the symbol of hydrogen element? H. What is the symbol of oxygen element? O. What is the symbol of nitrogen element? N. So like this, we have to use the symbol. Okay. And one more definition is given in our book. Symbol, the same page. Symbol is a small abbreviation to represent a full and lengthy name of the element. Okay. Both the answers you can write. Next, come to the metals. So what do you mean by metals? First of all, you should write minimum 5 or 6 points you have to write about metals. Okay, what are the points we can write? Metals are generally solids under normal conditions of temperature and pressure. Metals are very hard in nature. Okay, most of the metals are shiny in nature. The typical shine of the metal is called luster. Okay, typical shine of the metal is called lustrous property. Luster means it is nothing but shiny. Next, what we can write? Metals have high density. Metals have high melting point and boiling point. Okay, metals conduct heat and electricity. And then metals are malleable in nature. What do you mean by malleable? Elements can be hammered or beaten. Okay, hammered or beaten into very thin sheets. This property of metal is called malleability. Okay, so metals contain this property, malleability. Example, we can say aluminium. Okay, by using this property, aluminium can be transformed into silvery foils. Okay. And next one, metals are ductile in nature. Ductile means ductile, D-U-C-T-I-D-U-C-T-I-L-E. Okay, ductile means metals can be made into very thin wires. Okay, metals can be made into very thin wires. This tendency of metal is called ductility. Okay, for example, copper. Copper, we can make the copper into very thin wires, isn't it? So this property is called ductility. Okay, so these are some of the points about metals. Okay, what are the points? First one, metals are solids under normal conditions of temperature and pressure. Metals have high density. Metals have high melting point and boiling point. All metals are shiny in nature. The typical shine of the metal is called metallic luster. And then metals are malleable in nature. Metals are ductile in nature. Metals conduct heat and electricity. Okay, so these are some of the points, and also metals produce a sound when heat, isn't it? So when heat, metals produce a sound. This property is mainly used in making temple bells. This is also one of the property about metals. Okay, next we can move to non-metals. Non-metals occur in all the three states of matter. What are the three states? Solid state, liquid state and gaseous state. Okay. For example, if you take sulfur and phosphorus, okay, if you take sulfur and phosphorus, it is occur in the solid state. At the same time, bromine occurs in liquid state, and nitrogen, carbon, it occurs in the gaseous state. Okay, so non-metals occur in all the three states of matter. Okay. Next, non-metals have low density. They have lesser melting point as well as boiling point. Non-metals are soft in nature, but if you take a diamond is a non-metal only, but it is very hard in nature. Okay, diamond is very hard in nature. Usually non-metals are soft in nature, but diamond is hard in nature. And non-metals will not conduct heat or electricity. But if you take graphite, even though graphite will come under non-metal, it will conduct the electricity. Okay, and the non-metals usually do not produce sound. Non-metals are non-malleable in nature. Non-metals are non-ductile in nature. Okay, so these are some of the points about the non-metals. So next one, metalloids. Metalloids is nothing but metals which contain, that is elements which contain both the metallic property as well as non-metallic property are called the metalloids. Okay, for example, silicon, germanium, these are some of the metalloids. This silicon and germanium contains both the metallic property and the non-metallic property. Got it, children? Right. So next one we can move to compound. What do you mean by compound? Compound is composed of two or more separate elements. Okay. For example, water is a compound. Sodium chloride is a compound. Carbon dioxide is a compound. How? If you take water, you know very well, water is composed of hydrogen and oxygen elements. Hydrogen is a separate element, oxygen is a separate element. Both the elements combine to form the compound water. Okay, so what do you mean by compound? A compound is composed of two or more separate elements. Okay, so next one, if you take sodium chloride, sodium is a separate element and chlorine is a separate element. Both the elements combine to form the compound sodium chloride. Got it, children? Clear about the compound? Right. Next we can move to the classification of compounds. Okay. If you take compound, it can be classified into two types. One is the organic compound and another one is the inorganic compound. What's the difference between organic compound and inorganic compound? If you take organic compound, compounds obtained from living sources are called organic compounds. Organic means living sources. Okay. So what do you mean by organic compound? Organic compound consists of, it's made of living sources. Okay. Or compounds which contains living, which are obtained from, compounds which are obtained from living sources are called organic compounds. For example, fats, proteins, lipids, carbohydrates. These are some of the organic compounds. Then what do you mean by inorganic compound? Inorganic compound is composed of, organic compounds composed from living sources. Here inorganic compounds is obtained from non-living sources such as minerals, rocks, etc. Example, this chalk paste. This is a inorganic compound because this inorganic compound is composed of, inorganic compound is obtained from non-living sources. Got it, children? Can you understand the difference between organic compound and inorganic compound? Organic compound means compounds which are obtained from living sources. Inorganic compound means compounds which are obtained from non-living sources. That's the difference between these two. Okay, children? Right. So, what's the next question? Next question is some specific properties of substances. What are the properties are given? Deliquescence is given, hygroscopicity is given, efflorescence, malleability, ductility, brittleness. Okay, so here 5 side headings are given. So this question you may get in detailed answer also. So you have to learn all the side headings. Okay, at least minimum one example you should give for each and every side headings. Okay, right. That's all about this some basic concepts of chemistry 1, children. Next we can move to changes around us. Okay, the first lesson, changes around us. So in that lesson, what are the things you have to cover? You have to cover about the type of changes. What are the different type of changes? Slow change, fast change, reversible change, irreversible change. Okay, so what do you mean by slow change? Changes which occur over a longer period of time are called slow change. Example, rusting of iron, germination of seed, growth of a child. One minimum 2 example you should give for this change. Okay, children, right. So next one, fast change. Changes which occur within a fraction of seconds are called fast change. Example, bursting of crackers, okay, and then burning of paper. These things will happen immediately, right? So next one, reversible change means what? Changes which can bring back to its original position. For example, if you take melting of ice, take an ice cube and keep it on the table. Immediately, what do you observe? You will observe that after some time, the water coming out from the ice cube, isn't it? Here, ice is a solid, so solid turns into liquid. Again, if you take this liquid and keep it in the refrigerator, after few hours, it will become a solid. Hence, it is a reversible change. Got it? Next one, irreversible change. Cooking of food. Okay. Cooking of food is nothing but irreversible change only. Once the food is cooked, means that's it. Again, you cannot cook this with the same contents. Okay. So, irreversible change means a change which cannot bring back to its original position. Okay. So, these are some of the type of changes. Minimum 2 examples you have to give. Next one, you have to learn the definitions about evaporation, melting, sublimation, freezing. You should understand the concept behind these definitions. Okay. So minimum 1 definition you can expect from these this evaporation, melting, sublimation or freezing. Right. So next one, physical changes and its properties. What do you mean by physical change? What are the general characteristic properties of physical change? Minimum 4 points you have to write the properties. If this question is asked in the detailed answer, you should first of all give the definition for physical change, then put the side heading physical properties of physical change. Then you will put number 1, 2, 3, 4 and start writing the properties. In the same manner for chemical change also. Okay. Define chemical change, give the definition for chemical change and then write about the properties. In this manner you have to follow. So next one, specific conditions required for a chemical change. What are the specific conditions are required for a chemical change to take place? Close contact and then catalyst, electricity, heat, pressure. Okay, so these are some of the conditions which are required for a chemical reaction to take place. Right. So next one, difference between physical change and chemical change. So you know the concept behind the physical change and chemical change. If the question is asked like this, write the difference between physical change and chemical change, means don't write the answers separately. Don't put the heading physical change, don't write the definition. Next to chemical change, don't write the definition like that. If the question is asked in differences or distinguish differences like that, means put the tabular column, segregate into two. This side physical change, this side chemical change, write the concept behind this, and if example is needed, you give the example also. In this manner you have to follow. So next one, precipitate. Okay, what is meant by precipitate? Exothermic reaction and endothermic reaction. Exothermic reaction means what? Chemical reactions which involves the liberation of heat. Okay, liberation of heat are called exothermic reaction, whereas the reactions which absorbs the heat, absorption of heat is called endothermic reaction. Differentiate between exothermic and endothermic reaction means put the tabular column, this side exothermic reaction, endothermic reaction. The main concept behind the exothermic reaction is liberation of heat. Okay, and what's the main concept behind the endothermic reaction? Absorption of heat. Okay, in this manner you have to follow. So next one, type of chemical changes. What are the different types of chemical changes? Combination reaction, decomposition reaction, displacement reaction, double displacement reaction. This question also you may expect from the detailed answer. Okay, already in unit test 2 we have revised all the changes around us lesson. So you go through the changes around us lesson, that video fully, revision video fully, then come to the some basic concepts of chemistry. Nearly 8 to 9 pages only in this lesson, isn't it? So if you understand the concept behind everything, then you can answer it very in a good manner. Okay, then only you can score good marks. So what are the important contents in some basic concepts of chemistry? Matter, energy, and then classification of matter. Okay, pure substance, physical properties, chemical properties, what is meant by elements, symbols, followed by metals, non-metals, metalloids, compounds, classification of compounds. These are the important contents in the some basic concepts of chemistry. Okay. So, what are the things I told today? Everything you have to go through in a good manner. Then only you can score good marks. Okay, children, prepare well for the exam. All the best. Thank you.